Yo,
Yay! How you doing, Chris?
how we doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good,
Looking
man.
forward
Good
to
to see you,
the
dude.
How's the week been? Your weekend?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been good. Markets have been very, very good to me.
Yeah, smashing it on a DAX, yeah.
No, do you know what? I've been trading the Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, nice.
Mm.
Are you trading it, buying and selling?
Yeah, buying as well. Only buying really at the moment. Getting amongst the
Awesome.
ball, getting amongst the ball run. New all-time high last night, randomly Sunday evening.
Yeah, was it 106, 104?
We're just shy of 106, 105.6 or 105.5, something like that, which is crazy.
Nice.
Crazy, yeah.
What are you targeting? I'm targeting 120k probably by next month. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, my long-term holds, I don't know what to do about them. I think they're just there. I'll just keep holding.
Yeah, I think the long term ones you just hold it forever. To be fair,
Yeah, yeah.
but profit taking probably 120k is my
Yeah,
prediction.
120 looks like a nice spot. I think 110 in the not so distant future as well. I did have a couple of my positions were set at 110, but I'm doing a couple of challenges at the moment, so I want to take the profit out a little bit earlier. And I don't. It's funny because I don't really. I day trade typically, so I'm going for like 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, like 4 hour kind of maximum, and
Yeah,
I'm out of the trade. And so a couple of my positions were at like 1.4, sorry, 1 to 4 at 105. So I closed everything off. But it was good. Did about 2-3% off them, which is nice. So yeah, good couple of trades.
fair enough. I love that trading crypto. Awesome.
Have you been? Have you been trading much? We haven't not seen each other for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I haven't really actively traded. To be fair,
No.
if I'm honest, I haven't.
How
No.
come?
Pardon?
How come?
No, I haven't. I haven't traded. I've just
Yeah.
been
How come? How come you haven't been trading?
off zone, just focusing on other stuff. To be fair,
Yeah. Fair.
I think probably in the new year I'll get into it.
Yeah.
I've been trading other asset classes. I wouldn't call them assets, but I haven't really been trading actively in FX. Put it that way.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I think we're coming to we're slowing down now, aren't we? Really, we're coming towards the end of the year. I think I'll be trading this week, and then I'll probably take a bit of time off. I think there's so many other things that you could be doing with your time over the Christmas period. I think it's an important one.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a bit of a deeper discussion about this next week, of course, on the 23rd. But I'm definitely winding down for Christmas now. Like any trades that I take this week, I'm in and out of. I'll do like 1.1 to 1s, 1 to 2s. I'm not looking for any massive positions now. I'm not expecting any like big swings or anything like that.
100%. Yeah, you need to know when to adapt because obviously, if it's February, January, March, or whatever, you'll hold your trades to 2, 3, 4 hours. But now when it's Christmas time, yeah, liquidity is going to be low. You need to just adapt quickly, reduce everything in half. I normally do that. Even like yesterday, for example, Normally Sundays I review my journal and I plan my trades and I'm in sync for the new week. I never done that yesterday. I was in Winter Wonderland on a double day. I'm just not in the trading sort of mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I am probably doing trading wise, I'm trading memes. I'm having some fun with that.
Are you?
Yeah, it's easy money. It's
Really?
a bull market. It just makes sense to me. Trading memes rather than FX. I'm just not in the zone of FX. I'm waiting for January so I can just trade it properly.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. To be fair.
Do you adapt your strategy to trade meme coins?
It's quite. How can I quantify the answer? So I trade. It depends. If the meme coin has been out for a while, then I'll use my strategy. But if you're sort of sniping it and you're trading like a low cap meme coin, then technicals doesn't mean anything. You just have to buy it, and then when you see some profit, you scale some profit out, reinvest the profits into other coins, and it's a little bit different,
Okay.
Crypto as well, been active in crypto, just moving profits around and whatnot.
Yeah.
But with FX, I think the markets are. It's not really the markets. I haven't looked at the markets. It's just me. I'm just not in sync. I'd rather trade when my mind is clear for FX. Yeah. I'm gonna trade, but I'm in no rush to trade. I don't have to trade. I'm in no rush. So preferably January. But I say that, and if I see some decent setups and it just is a no-brainer, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Well,
really.
before we get stuck into today's topic, then I'll jump on the charts quickly, and we'll have a little look at the dollar for the next week. We'll have a look at the dollar. We'll have a look at gold. We'll have a look at Bitcoin. We'll just spend a couple of minutes just looking over each of them and doing a bit of a a higher time frame narrative. Today, obviously, we're discussing, when the new year comes, guys, those of you watching at home, when the new year comes, you want to be making sure that you are proportionately better than you were at the start of 2024. That's kind of the aim, really, isn't it? Making sure that your skill set has improved, making sure that you're in a position now where you're going to make 2025 the best year that you've ever had trading. So we're going to do a bit of goal setting today. We're going to talk about, how you can maybe reflect on, your own behaviors, your own actions, and as the title says, how to plan, trade, and stay funded. And we'll obviously focus on, funding accounts. And this is what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Sessions that Diego and I have been hosting, both together and individually, over the last month. Really, we've been really focusing on, the right methods and tactics that you should be utilizing to get yourself funded ultimately, and keep yourself funded. Because I think that's hopefully the people that are watching are those guys, right? The guys that are trying to get themselves funded or trying to keep their accounts.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's jump. I'll just load up a chart quickly. We'll jump on. We'll have a quick look, and then we'll go from there. Let me just share my screen. How is everyone in the chat today? Who have we got on the live as well? Who's there? Who's watching? Got slightly lower numbers today, but I reckon the regulars will be here probably.
Yeah.
Right, let me tidy up this chart a little bit, just so we can see a little bit more clearly. I'll just get rid of all my liquidities that have been taken, and we'll just have a quick look at kind of where we are. I'll probably stay on the relatively higher time frame for now, just to give you guys kind of an overall idea. As we can see, since 26th of September, 27th, 30th, end of September, basically, the dollar has been very, very, very bullish. And it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. If you look at the overall structure of the candles, if we just look at this section of price, obviously we have lots of bullish price action. We've had one bearish candle, and then we very quickly, back on the start of December, we've shifted back bullish. So it would be silly, I think, for anyone to try and be shorting this marketplace right now. Ironically, if you look at Euro-USD sentiment, so if we look at Euro-USD sentiment, okay, ironically, what you're finding that everyone's doing, so for those of you who don't understand, the dollar typically follows very closely Euro-USD. As you can see, if I just invert this chart, okay, you can see that this price action here is very similar to that price action there, okay? So the Euro-USD and the dollar, they match up quite well. We just, again, I'm not going to delete this stuff. I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit because I will need the analysis for the time. Just get rid of that. So if we look at these charts, ultimately, they are very, very similar. And what you'll find now when you look at kind of the Euro-USD sentiment is that everyone is trying to long the marketplace. This is why retail traders typically lose, because the retail traders, 77% of them right now are long on this market. What does that indicate to us? Well, that there's going to be a lot of liquidity sat below price, because if everyone's long, they're going to be putting their stops here or their stops here, for example, and therefore that creates and generates lots of liquidity for the bigger players in the marketplace. So overall, the dollar I'm seeing bullish, therefore I'll be looking for short setups, and the sentiment showing that the retail traders majority of them are long right now, indicates to me clearly that a sell setup is the right choice in this current climate. How I would get into a trade? Well, I need a bit of development right now. We've looked like we might be kind of shifting, so that we might get some sort of pullback, but ultimately I'd see that as a larger pattern in order to get ourselves short, building up liquidity on the sell side, taking out liquidities here, taking out liquidities here, taking out liquidities here potentially, and to then ultimately take a short. So, no trades for me just yet, but a short on the dollar for sure. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, kind of what's next for Bitcoin. So these are the couple of positions that I was in. You can see that I was holding up to about 110. I took most of my profits out here, which is the 105 mark. We had a couple of positions, one of which I actually took on Sunday, and a couple from Friday, and then obviously a longer position that I held for about a couple of weeks or so. In terms of where we're heading now, I mean, look, it's like I kind of compare this right now to gold, don't you? Where gold created all-time highs, right, and then kept climbing. Just kept climbing. And if we have a look at gold, I don't actively trade gold, but if we have a look at gold, we look at where it made all-time highs back. Where was it? Here, 31st of July was an all-time high, wasn't it? That was the big one. We tested it a few times, and then we've continued climbing. New all-time high here, new all-time high here, new all-time high here, and so on and so forth. One here, one here, one here, one here. And the likelihood is that we're probably going to get another one until we get a very clear shift that shows us that price is going to be moving. So very, very similar for Bitcoin, really. Yes, we've got these all-time highs that have been created, but we also have that here and here and here and here. The only difference is that we are coming into some big psychological numbers. But again, it's a bull market. Like Diego said at the start of the call, it's a bull market right now, so why fight it?
Exactly, yeah.
Lower time frame, I wouldn't be entering into anything like this just yet. Got lots of liquidity built up here. Okay, so I would probably be expecting some sort of pullback, take out some liquidity to then potentially go long again. But where that comes from, I don't know right now. I've taken my profit out. I wouldn't be shorting this marketplace right now. I'll be waiting for longs. Right now, that is, if we do get some really clear structure, something like this, with some manipulation, then obviously we can go short. But right now on Bitcoin, it is bullish. Not a great place to buy from unless you want to, take a retest trade off that 103 level, which was the previous all-time high. It could be a valid entry. It's not really an entry for me. I need a bit of a pullback first, but we've got some good price action on all time fronts. I think, to be fair though, we could be just coming into a period now where we just ultimately start consolidating and getting ready for Christmas and things like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, makes sense.
No big plans to make too many big trades anyway. Martin, or I'm assuming that's Martin or Merton. It's hard to stay consistent. It is. Talk us through what you mean by that. So we're going to go into this topic now, but talk us through what you mean by that. When you say it's hard to stay consistent, what about your trading do you find is hard? Did you struggle with that, Diego? Consistency,
I still do, to be fair. It's very hard for me to stay consistent.
Yeah, do you know what?
I'm human. It's like if I catch a cold, I can't be consistent, can I? Or something, family matters or personal issues, can't be consistent. So I still struggle with that.
Yeah. What do you do? Is there anything that you do in particular to ensure that you trade in the right ways? Because there's different consistencies, isn't there? There's consistency, I suppose, of schedule. There's consistency of like your emotions. There's consistency of like your profit and loss. So in terms of consistency, where do you start with that? What's kind of the simple or the easiest thing that you can master?
Probably just going back to the basics and looking at your journal. And just seeing what were you doing right, as in, when did you have winning periods? And if you've been journaling, you should have notes on what you were doing. There should be footprints and little clues on what you were doing that made you consistent. It could be your routine. It could be that you were reviewing your trades, that you were sticking to the rules. So if you leave that information for your future self, just look back at it and you're like, I stopped doing this. No wonder I'm not consistent. Let me just go back to doing what I was doing when I was making a profit. That's just me personally, to be fair. Just keep it simple.
I think that's a really, really good idea. I'm going to show you guys something. I've got a daily routine. Let me just try and find it and I can show you. So I use like a daily routine chart, and to be fair, I don't actively look at this too much anymore, but I always have this available for when I need it. Let me just try and find it, because what this does for me is it gives me a really clear understanding of kind of what I should be doing next. Let's just try and find it. In terms of making sure that I know we discussed it before, but do you have a routine that you stick to, and therefore if you don't do that routine, you kind of don't trade? That's kind of how I plan it anyway. If I don't stick to my routine, I basically just don't take a trade.
Yeah, I think the one thing for me is probably the gym and a live stream. Not here, it's for my traders. If I don't do gym to just wake up the mind, and the live stream, something's up, and I just won't trade.
Yeah.
So for me, those are like the two fundamental rules. How about yourself?
Yeah, so I think I just found it. I was just trying to find it. You have 1,000,001 documents these days. It's impossible to find. Yeah, okay. So this is something that I put together a little while ago, and I would always recommend putting something like this together, however you want to do it, really. So this is kind of my daily routine, and this is what I tend to try and stick to as best as I can. So it's like my weekly schedule. Having a routine, I think, is really, really important. So I'm similar to Diego. I get up almost every day. Had a lie-in this morning, which is nice, to be fair. I get up almost every day at 5 a.m. to get to the gym, and that really sets me up for the day.
Awesome.
I then have like certain rules that I make sure that I'll be sticking to, and they're very, very similar, but they change throughout the week. So, on Monday, for example, I've got to clear my charts from the previous week. Got to mark on my weekly highs and lows, my daily highs and lows, mark my significant highs and lows, mark out my trading range, and then a forecast for the day. And that's a really important one. The forecasting is really, really important. Something that I would highly recommend traders do if they don't do it already. I think when you forecast in the morning before the markets have started moving, it changes the way that you trade throughout that day, for sure. It changes the actions that you take, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but something as simple as just marking out your significant highs and lows if you're a liquidity trader, or for Diego, you might mark out your patterns, right?
Liquidity and patterns and Elliott waves. Everything that you mentioned in there is I do it all in the live stream, so I'm kind of the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing. Yeah, makes sense.
The forecasting process is so important, because then you just trade what you forecast. It's as simple as that. You trade what you forecast, and you don't have any room or any time for anything else. And if you're taking a trade that you haven't forecasted, then really, well, you should be teaching yourself to not take that trade, right? You should be in a position where you say, well, I haven't forecasted this, so I'm not going to take it, because that's where false trades come from. Then I find anyway.
Exactly. There's been a million times in the past where I forecast a trade, then 2-3 days after I take a trade, hits my stop loss, and the trade that I forecasted plays out. That's happened a million times. I don't do that anymore, right? But there's a million traders that don't do that, and obviously it takes time for them to realize how important forecasting is. So 100%. You have to forecast, and forecasting is like you're forecasting. You have to follow the rules, right? You're forecasting for the future, and when it comes, you're just following the rules. Rather than you take a trade on the moment because it looks decent, it's quite reactive. It's best to kind of just take a trade that you forecasted. 100%.
Yeah. I think it's a really important rule to add in, making sure that, it might be something you're not doing. This kind of goes back to that, reviewing of your 2024. So, hopefully coming to the end of the year, and you should have a lot of data gathered. If you've been trading and data collecting from the start of the year, you hopefully have a lot of data that you've gathered that you can then start to, I think people overcomplicate the data gathering process. Really, it doesn't actually have to be that complicated. The most important thing that you need to do is just gather the data. So log your trades, mark them out, and you'll start to just notice patterns yourself. Like, I think people see it as a really daunting task. They go, well, I've got to manage all these trades, and then I have to refine my strategy, and then I have to work out if I could be more profitable, and what do I do with this data, and how do I compare it? And do you know what? I think people then put it off as a result of that. They don't know where to start. The most important thing is that you just start. That's it, because you'll just naturally start to find patterns and notice patterns. I did a piece with some of my guys not that long ago. Where's it gone? Let's have a quick look.
Also, something to add. What I'd recommend for traders is to not just forecast your scenario, but also forecast not plan B, but what would happen if this happens, and have you got a game plan for that, right? So you don't come surprised and shocked when it comes, and you're not reactive and you're not emotional. And even when you forecast a second plan, if your original plan doesn't fail, doesn't mean you have to take the trade. It
No.
just means that you're in control and you're just in sync, and you just keep on forecasting different scenarios. That's it. Because if you're looking for a buy setup, but it doesn't come, but you predicted it that didn't come because you forecasted, even if you write it down, you draw it on the chart, like you do with your scribbly line and the way I do it, then when it happens, you're like, and this was a scenario if this never happened. Let me wait now for the buy setup. So you have to wait for the sell side to get liquidated and everything, buy side and whatnot. Then you take it. So just things like that is critical, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll throw it over to you guys. How many of you watching at the moment, how many of you forecast for the day? Just put in the comments either a Y or an N for yes or no. Do you forecast for the day? Do you start a day with forecasting? It'd be interesting to hear how many of you actually forecast. And Martin, if you're still on, let us know what you mean by consistency. Talk us through what you're struggling with, and we can hopefully give you some real practical tips for that as well. Yeah, Diego's right. Forecasting, it's the cornerstone of my daily setup. For example, this morning I woke up, I had 4 wins, obviously smaller positions, 4 wins on Bitcoin. So I haven't actually analyzed for the day. That's why I've had to clear my charts live. But I'm not looking at the charts. I'm not trying to find trades. And I'll tell you one reason why. I've hit half my weekly target this morning. So, I'm not in a rush to jump into the markets and give that profit back. Forecasting, if I don't forecast, I just don't trade. And one of the mistakes I used to make with forecasting is I used to forecast both the buys and the sells, and that would often talk me into taking. So let's say my sell didn't work out, I would take a buy instead. And obviously a market shouldn't really be both bullish and bearish unless it's like very rangy. It shouldn't really be both bullish or bearish. You should have one direction. You should be leaning more towards the one direction than the other, really. Okay, because then you've got maybe higher time frame narrative on your site. Maybe you've got the daily, the weekly, the 4-hour chart all lined up. So should you be, and let's say they're all bearish, should you really be trading that bullish? Probably not. So I've stopped doing that recently. That's one of my findings from 2024, just through some of my journaling. So back in August time, I was forecasting both buys and sells, and I just stopped forecasting where my higher time frame wasn't in line. And as soon as I've done that, results have improved massively. So that wasn't something that I went out to do. And that kind of links back to the point we were making just a moment ago. That wasn't actually something that I went out to do. I didn't go out there thinking I need to review my forecasting process. I went out there thinking that forecasting was the right thing to do, which it is. And I realized that actually when I forecast both buys and sells, I often get into trades that I shouldn't be getting into. I'm almost forcing myself to take a trade that's against the momentum of the marketplace. Stop doing it. Surprise, my results have increased.
Yeah, just little things like that makes a big difference. I was just thinking of an analogy regarding forecasting and how critical and important it is. When you those videos when you see Jose Mourinho or Alex Ferguson, and they writing on the whiteboard their game plan, and they're forecasting what the other players are going to do, right? Like they've got all these scribbly lines. So at least you're preparing yourself of what could happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly to the T, but when it comes to the live match, the live trading, then at least you're prepared, right? For a few scenarios, it's the same thing. So if you're sort of skipping forecasting, you're not prepared for the game plan. You're not prepared for the battleground. So don't be surprised if you get shot down.
That's it. You set yourself up for success, aren't you? Because when you're in the live markets, there's all these pressures and stressors that come into play, right? So if you do this outside of live markets where you can take a step back, and Diego hit the nail on the head, the football manager or the coach before the game and, in the weeks prior to the game, they're going to be working out the plays, working out the strategy, and they're going to be drilling it into you. But when you come to the live markets, you can do it second nature. And that, it's a perfect analogy because that's exactly what's going to happen if you do your forecasting. When you come to the markets and your setups appear, you can trade it and you can take those trades. Because I bet loads of you are guilty of this, taking trades that you have just found there and then. Like you go to the charts and you feel like you see something, you take the trade, it fails. And then what does everyone do? They go back to their journal, they write about the trade, and they realize that they should never have taken that trade in the first place, right?
100% now.
Or you look at the markets, you've got this great strategy in place, you don't do any forecasting, and then something else comes up and you haven't forecasted for it, and you end up taking these trades, and it all just becomes a bit of a mess, because then the trade maybe does come in, but you haven't forecasted it, so you miss that trade. And then at the end of the day, when you do your analysis, you realize, shit, that was actually a really good trade that I should have taken, but I didn't forecast for it. Therefore, when it appeared, I wasn't ready for it. And that's another really important one. So I think, reflecting on 2024, one of the big changes, if you guys aren't doing it yet, is get that forecasting in. Really, really important. And, you can set yourself goals with this as well. So maybe you need to set yourself a task. So something that I do with my guys is I'll always set them like 30-day challenges effectively. I'll give them like a piece of work, and I'll say, right, for the next 30 days, you've got to follow this process. So a few of my guys at the moment who are relatively newer to working with me, they've just got to implement their strategy, and they're only allowed to take one-to-one trades. That's it. Because we want to prove the concept. We want to prove that they can be profitable. We want to prove that they can have an edge. So by doing it at one-to-one, that's how we're going to do it. And it's what we call SMART goals, right? You know about SMART goals, Diego?
I know about SMART goals, yeah.
Yeah, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant,
and time bound. Yeah,
that's it. Do you do things like that with your students? Do you kind of set like maybe challenges or phases of work with them that they've got to complete?
Oh yeah, 100%. But I split it into incremental steps. So the first one is just find patterns essentially. That's it. Just find specific patterns, specific angles.
Yeah. Nice. So I think, if you're giving yourself some goal setting, I think, using the SMART framework is a really good one. So specific goals. So let's say it was, for example, Diego students maybe finding some patterns. Okay. So the specific is you need to make sure that you're finding patterns. Okay. So that's your S for your SMART. Your measurable. Okay. That is putting it down in a journal, making sure that they are, you can log them, you can keep a track record of them, and then Diego can go back and review those, when he's got a review with one of his students potentially. Achievable, it needs to be, realistic, it needs to be simple. And relevant is, it needs to be relevant to the task at hand, which is making that trader better. Time bound is really important. Something that I do constantly with both myself and the people that I work with is give them a deadline. That accountability is so important. Like, again, talk about all the time, back testing, forward testing, journaling, all this stuff. People think that it's a really daunting task. All you've got to do is you've just got to, make sure that, and again, it's a SMART goal, isn't it? Make sure that those tasks are achievable, make sure that they're time bound. So, if you've got a 30-day piece of work that you want to do, maybe it's just you need to, log 2 trades a day, for example, or with Diego, notice 2 patterns, and make sure they're journaled down. That way, it's an achievable goal. You're not looking at it thinking that it's going to be some huge, astronomical task. So SMART goals, really, really important. Ayoma Sin, hopefully pronouncing that correctly. Hi to you too. Thanks for joining us today. What do you do in terms of your own trading? Do you set yourself goals? Do you journal? Do you back test? Do you forecast? We'd love to hear from you guys. And those of you who are watching at home now, let us know what you do. Which of these that you do. Do you do forecasting? Do you do goal setting? Do you do journaling or back testing, whatever it may be? Let us know in the chat today what you guys do, or what you're struggling with, and hopefully we can help. So, do you have at the end of each year, do you have like a review process? I don't have a specific review process because I feel like I'm constantly reviewing myself throughout the year, really.
Yeah, no, I do. I've got a certain page that I open up every year on Notion, and it's just the achievements that you've sort of hit the last year and the goals that you want to hit for the following year. Yeah, just little small goals that you want to achieve. That's normally what I do at the end of the year, and just review my trades. But I kind of just brief it. I don't spend like a madman looking at every single trade on every single journal. I won't do that. Just briefly pick out the best trades and some obvious losers, and just make a mental note, take some notes, and that's it. I don't spend too much time. Like, just because it's the end of the year doesn't mean you're going to spend a long time. Like yourself, I'm constantly reviewing, so you don't have to spend that much time at the end.
Yeah,
more or less that's what I do as well.
Yeah. And if you were, let's say you were starting out again now, if you wanted to build yourself, so maybe you've been dabbling at trading now for the last year, okay, you've come to the end of 2024, you're now in a position where you want to start making some real clear progressions in your trading. So, you know, what we might say, building a winning routine. How would you go about doing that? What would you advise our viewers? What would you do now to get yourself ready for 2025?
I would get myself a mentor. So I'll do your mentorship or my mentorship, just to fast pace your progression. That's always the best way, to be fair. Another way could be to find a winning routine.
Yeah.
A winning routine.
Let's say you were doing it on your own, because I think, you know, where we don't have the luxury of, you know, having or being able to afford mentors or things like that at the moment. And then some people just want to sort of do it themselves. What would you say kind of like the key parts of, you know, a winning routine for 2025?
Probably just building some consistency, you know, for if you want to stick to a regular schedule that balances, you know, your trading and your personal responsibilities, you know, stuff like that, bit of discipline. And just the basic sort of stuff, to be fair. And obviously the most important thing for me will be journaling. Just get into journaling and backtesting. It's a big leap. It just goes back to journaling and backtesting.
Of course,
so that's definitely the most important thing.
I think you know, I think you've got to treat yourself like a professional trader, and you know, especially if you're not able to work full time. Sorry, if you are working full time, therefore not able to trade full time. I think the routine part of it is really, really important. And it might look, I mean, why don't we just sketch one out? Let's jump over to, I'll jump over to a chart quickly. Why don't we just sketch one out, and something that the viewers can maybe then take away with them, and go from there. So if we're trying to build a winning routine, what would you say? Let's say, let's start with maybe yearly goals, and then we'll drop down to both quarter, monthly, and then obviously daily. So what should you be reviewing over the year, do you think? How are we gonna put that in? So yearly routine. What should that be, or what should that look like?
Yearly routine.
So I think you know, setting goals, also yearly routine, yearly goals. So yearly goals and routine. So setting goals, I think, is really, really important. So what you want to achieve, so that might be get yourself funded, and receive first payout. And your yearly goal could be just that, right? It doesn't have to be potentially that big. That could just be, you know, that's a pretty big task on its own. Is there anything else that you could kind of set yourself? Because what we'll do then is we'll break this yearly goal down into both quarterly and monthly, and just see what traders did.
Okay, so probably just know your edge. I think if you can master your edge, then everything kind of falls back. Then you'll get funded, you'll get your payout. Then you can start using journaling. Then you can start using all the trader tools and everything. I think the most important thing is finding your edge, and it goes back to the dog work, which is back testing basically. And just master your strategy first, and then everything falls into place.
I think that's right. So, you know, if you want to get yourself funded and receive your first payout, mastering your edge is a really important part of that. Okay, so what we can then do is we can break that down into, you know, monthly goals, okay, and routine. And, you know, with the monthly goals and routine, we can then start working towards. So maybe you want to be making sure that you are consistently profitable each month. Okay, each month. What else would be like a monthly goal for you if you were working towards getting yourself funded and mastering your edge?
A monthly goal. Just journaling at least once a week.
I was going to say, keep journals up to date, and complete I don't know, complete X back testing, okay? Because you can obviously set your own criteria for that, right? So complete, a certain amount of back testing, yeah. Then you can break it down into weekly goals. So weekly goals, weekly routine. Okay, so now's when you're coming more into kind of the routines of what you should be doing. So review journals, and keep up to date.
Yeah. Maybe get yourself some accountability partners.
Yeah.
Like a little team.
Check in with accountability partners. Yeah, it's a good one. And I think if you're working towards getting yourself funded, okay, ensure 1% to 2% per week. And these can be then you're setting yourself these numbers because you need to be doing probably 1% to 2% per week if you've got a realistic aim to get yourself funded. That's not a case where you're rushing anything. It doesn't put too much pressure on you, and hopefully moves you towards your goals nice and quickly. And these are examples, guys. Obviously, the best thing for you to do is let's have a quick look. So it would be daily goals and routine. So it would be forecasting for the day, trade the plan.
Getting in the zone.
Say again?
Getting in the zone. That could be anything. Doesn't matter. Could be gym, could be yoga, could be jumping off a plane, whatever it takes. Just getting in the zone, right?
Health and wellness then, yeah?
That's it.
Okay. Forecasting today, trade the plan, review and journal, small back testing sessions, / should be, it could be content review. Okay. It could be that you're working with, some sort of educator at the moment and, you've got a load of content that you want to get through with them. And then I think what's a really good way of doing this as well, and something that I use quite a lot is, if you want ChatGPT, to kind of help you with this, you can set yourself a goal, and I use this quite a lot. So I'll say, right, I want to become a funded Forex trader by the end of 2025. So 2025, I have a consistent strategy that makes around 1% per week. I want to improve those results, and I want you to break down a yearly, monthly, weekly, and daily routine and goal setting process. So you can say, I'm working with a City Traders Imperium account. I need to achieve 10% and 5% on phase 1 and 2. In order to get myself funded, I'm able to trade 20 minutes of the day and review for 20 minutes in the evening. Okay, and look, we've just come up with that really, really quickly. But what ChatGPT is really good for doing is making sure that you are, it puts things into perspectives and helps you to think and understand things in, ways that maybe you wouldn't do currently. So goals, yearly plan. So by December 2024, improve weekly results from 1 to 1.25 to 1.5 through refined strategy execution and adjustments. Past the first phase of City Traders. Okay, past the second phase, 5%. So those are our yearly goals. Monthly plans, refine your strategy. Identify 1 to 2 tweaks monthly, like improvement, entry, and exit positions. Weekly routine. Achieve 1.5 to 2% profit with improved focus and efficiency. Structure. Monday, identify key levels of interest, support resistant liquidity zones, plan high probability trades. I mean, look, it's pretty much what we just went through, right?
Yeah.
And this gives you goal setting, it gives you an evening routine, a morning routine, check an economic calendar, trading sessions, focus only on high probability setups. So something like this that has taken us, 30 seconds to create, and we'll share a link to that. I'm pretty sure I can share a link.
Or it's taken us years to get it down to the T. Like it's taken us probably a decade just to know this information. So a lot of traders are coming into the market now. They're spoiled. We never had AI back in the day. No. We never had all these tools and challenges and stuff. So it's a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and you know that's something that we've just come up with, you know, in what, 30 seconds, something as comprehensive as that. So, you know, there's so many tools around that if you're struggling, you don't know where to go with this work, it's goal setting. You know, you can plan things out. You know, I have tools that I use that allow me to, you know, really understand what I should be doing, you know, how I should be doing it, etc. And that's such an important part of it. You know, setting yourself bite-sized, manageable chunks. It goes back to those SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Setting yourself goals and deadlines to ensure that work is completed is, you know, a really, really big part of it. You know, so building a routine doesn't have to be that complicated. It could be something as simple as make sure you forecast in the morning, trade your forecast, journal in the evening. It could be that simple. Okay. And even that process will put you ahead of 50, 60, 70% of traders. How many traders do you think actually journal? Like actually journal?
It depends, because I think everyone in the end eventually journals over a certain period of time. Like if it's hard to say, because I think if there's like 50 new traders, probably 0 would journal, but after a year, maybe 80-70% may journal. You know, so it's quite hard to say, to be fair. Well, what do you think?
I think it might be less. I reckon. So you've got you're probably your top 5%, which is great. Then you've got like maybe another 15% or so that are you know, working towards that top spot. But I think so many traders, I think even a lot of the experienced traders don't journal because they kind of stop after a while. I think the numbers would be quite shocking. I think it probably only maybe 60, 70 at a push % of people actually journal. You know, and I think, you know, even sometimes I'll be really busy and I won't maybe fill out my trades. I'll miss a day here or there, but I'll always go back to it. Make sure I'm logging my trades. And I definitely perform better when I'm journaling. You know, and it links into everything we're discussing today. If you want to review your 2024, you need that data. So you've got to go back and check somewhere. And chances are you've probably deleted it off your charts. Hey, Simon. Welcome, dude. Good to have you here. Do you journal? Do you follow a trading kind of journal or plan? Good to hear from you. Yeah, definitely going back and if you want to review your data, you need some for that data to be. What are the other options, do you think? If people don't want to journal, are there any other options where they can kind of gather data and go from there?
Yeah, they can just if they're trading a challenge or a funded account, on the side, they could have a demo account just to monitor the trades that they thought were going to be good.
Yeah,
and you can learn from them as well. Just having a demo account to just test the waters, and then just record that. But I think just taking screenshots as well, putting in your Discord. I don't know, something really simple. There's a few ways. You just have to be creative. It just depends on the trader. If the trader's lazy, then that's on them. But if they want to be creative, have a demo account, have screenshots, have an Excel sheet. Have TradeZilla if you want to take it to that level, whatever. It really depends on the trader. It depends how much they want it, you know.
I think as well, you mentioned something earlier. You said about traders being lazy. I think that if you're acknowledging that you're a lazy trader, the likelihood is you're probably not going to make it, because trading isn't for lazy people. It takes work, hard work, and dedication. If you know that you're being lazy, you're acknowledging that you're being lazy, then that's something that you've already reviewed from 2024, right? That's something that you need to improve in 2025. So maybe one of your goals for this year is to be more active. That means, you know, taking on board all of the advice that you're listening to from us and other people that you're choosing not to do at the moment. You know, there's a reason why people say do your journaling. There's a reason why people say do your back testing. If you're not doing it, then the chances are you're probably not going to get the results. We don't just say it for fun. If you could trade without journaling and back testing, we would be telling you that you can do it without it. You know, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because
it is. But it just takes some time and repetition for somebody to nail it in your head. Because I remember back in my day, I used to hear, you have to journal your trades, and I just thought, whatever, didn't make a penny, right? And then over time, when you just keep on hearing it, you're just like, you know what? Everyone that's profitable, they all have one thing in common, and they're journaling. You know what? Let me give it a go. And all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, this works.
It makes a difference.
But then it's maintaining the consistency, because then you fall off track, because you might become a bit lazy, but then eventually there comes a point where you get addicted to journaling because you see that every time you do it, you get results. So you have to do it, you know?
Yeah, agreed. And I think, you know, setting yourself goals and making it part of your daily goal. I think, again, another reason why people put it off is because they feel like they've got loads to catch up on. Do you know what? If you're feeling like that, then just scrap everything you've done previously and just start today. Just make sure every time before you go to bed. I do it like just before I go to bed. So I'll finish trading for the day. I'll finish work for the day. I'll then go downstairs, have some food, maybe watch a bit of TV. Then I'll head to bed about 9:30ish, pretty early because I get up so early. Before I go to bed, I come into here, I sit down, and I do my journaling. And it takes me 10 minutes. It's done then. And, you know, I'm not journaling at that stage. Funny thing about journals is that when you do it there and then, you don't actually learn that much from there and then. You might acknowledge a couple of things. You might acknowledge that was a good trade or that was a bad trade, whatever it may be. But it's actually going back and reviewing that journal at the end of the month where you start to notice the patterns, because you need a big selection of data to notice the patterns, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so important. And I think, you know, if you set yourself some goals for the year, whatever that goal may be, you know, your goals want to be, you know, again, they want to be smart, don't they? They want to be specific, they want to be measurable, they want to be achievable, and they want to be time bound and relevant. So, you know, set yourself a goal, and that could be get yourself funded, like we discussed. I think for a lot of people, that's going to be the goal, right? Get yourself funded. What can you do to get yourself funded? Well, you can plan it out yourself, or you can do what we did. You can put it into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT doesn't give you what you want. You can provide it with some tweaks and some changes, and it will come back to you with more information. It's so clever for stuff like that. I use it for stuff like that all the time.
That's it, really. Yeah.
What
do you reckon what would you advise traders that they're struggling to just not take the step, but to get into the habit of journaling? You know that initial first step. What would you advise for those sort of traders?
I would start by just writing it down physically before you, because I think that's one of the most daunting tasks is, well, do I use an Excel spreadsheet? Do I use Notion? Do I use TradeZeller? Just get a notepad like this and just write things down and just start marking things down and just writing it down. And then over time, you'll start to get bored of writing it down. You'll maybe put a spreadsheet together, or you'll find a Notion template. Just make sure that you put it in your daily routine, make it part of your process. But to start off with, just make everything really, really simple. Just write down the fact that you took a trade and what the result was, and you know whether or not you would change anything that you did. 3 things: what was the trade, what was the result, what would you change? Simple as that. That's now a journal. Right?
Yeah, that's actually a very, very good advice. Just pen and paper, keep it simple.
From there, I think, you know, if you're not making money with your trading, one of the big things that I would suggest that you need to do to, you know, both strengthen your ability, strengthen your skill set, but also your mindset as well, which is really, really important, is to just go back to basics. I think, Diego, you mentioned this earlier, but go back to basics. You know, maybe you need to go through your strategy content again. Maybe you need to review that video course that you've watched a year ago. Maybe it's worth going back through that. And then go back to basics. I think social media tricks you into thinking that you need to go for like 5-6 hour trades all the time. It's not actually the case. If you've got a really good strike rate at 1-to-1, you can make more money at 1-to-1 than somebody shooting for 1-to-5 or 1-to-10 easily, because you will probably win 50, 60, 70, 80% of your trades at a 1-to-1. And if you start there, you can then build up from there. Too many traders go in immediately and try and trade like pros, and it just doesn't work. Simple as that. You need to stop trading like a professional, just like you're not going to be able to drive a racing car like, what's his name? Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, I was thinking old school. I went Schumacher.
Schumacher, yeah, whoever. You're not going to be able to get. You might be a really good driver of your Ford Escort, but you're not going to be able to get into a Formula One car and drive like a professional. Okay, not yet. Anyway, you might do with some practice over time, but you're not going to be able to do it just yet. What you are probably going to be able to do is drive to Tesco's in your Ford Escort right now. Okay, and the equivalent of that with trading is shoot for 1-to-1 regularly. That's really good for your mindset, because you're winning all the time. You're winning every other trade. You should be. If you're using a strategy and you can't win more than 50% of your trades at 1-to-1, your strategy doesn't work. It doesn't have an edge. It has what's called a negative edge. And the only way that strategy works is if you shoot for bigger targets. That's not an edge that I want to play with. I want my strategy to make me money at 1-to-1, so that when I go to 1-to-2 or 1-to-3, I can now make even more money than before. That's what I want. If you can't, and this is, again, people don't do this testing. If you can't make more than 50% of your trades win at 1-to-1, your strategy does not have an edge. That, in terms of building confidence and resilience in your mental game, is huge, because then the data that you've gathered, you can then use to see whether you should be holding your trades for longer and go from there.
100%. I think everyone watching this should definitely take into consideration what Chris has said. Look at your trades, journal them, and just find out, does your trade even go to 1-to-1 50% of the time or not?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then you need to update the strategy somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If it does, then that's fine. So
yeah.
Take that advice, honestly.
Definitely. And there are some strategies that only work if you go for 1-to-10, but 99 out of 100 traders, I don't think are going to be able to manage that sort of emotional roller coaster that, if you're winning 10% of your trades or 20% of your trades at 1-to-10, yeah, you're making money, but you might be losing like 10 trades in a row until you catch that golden trade. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, what's the point? You're a trader because you want to be winning more regularly, and I think you set yourself up to fail because you try and trade like social media gurus who ultimately most of them can't trade and make any money anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to find a sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely. How do you prepare for the emotional highs and lows of trading? I'm sure you still have stressors. I know I do. Last week I closed a position which should have made me about 5% at like 0.5% because I felt like it wasn't going to move in the right direction. That was stupid. And it's because I was watching the trade, so I was staring at the trade. Yeah. I actually came up with a bit of a hack over the weekend, but I'll let you go first. What do you do to kind of manage your emotions when you're trading, staying composed, and etc.?
So, are you referring to when I'm actually trading, or coming up to a trading day?
Both. Give us both.
All right. So when I'm coming up to a trading day, I will look at a naked chart. Yeah, I'll look at a naked chart and just draw out the main sort of liquidity. That kind of just clears my mind, because when I've got the patterns and the Elliott waves, it's going to be all congested. Yeah. So I'll use that. But most importantly, I do a little bit of meditation. Something I used to do back and I don't do it anymore, if I'm honest, is I used to read out affirmations that I recorded myself on with binaural beats. Listen to that for a few minutes, because I don't like the sound of my voice. But sometimes what I say in those affirmations really hits me. And when I get into the actual charts, then I'm like, I need to be doing X, Y, Z. Yeah. So that's something that I used to do. I mean, if I'm being honest, something that I'm doing now is I'll look at a recorded 10-minute live stream, for example. So I do 2 different live streams. One that's like an hour, another one's for like 10 minutes. I'll watch the recording of my own voice. That kind of just puts me in level on when I was in sync prior to the trading that I'm about to do. So just things like that. And also when I'm actually trading, I'm about to take a trade, whether it's in an hour's time, for example, then I'll just quickly just take a deep breath. I'll visualize the trade getting triggered. I'll visualize the stop loss getting triggered. And I'll visualize me moving my stop loss, but I'm just kind of breathing, I'm visualizing it. So when it comes to it, if I see a little bit of drawdown, I'm not gonna get hesitant and get nervous. I've already sort of prepared myself. So it's like a form of forecasting. I like to visualize it. So that's good. That's good. How about yourself?
I think I've got my own kind of meditation. Kind of my own is, for my mental health side of it is I make sure I go to the gym. I don't like train with headphones on or anything like that. I'm just fully focused. One of the areas where I'm just purely focused on what I'm doing there and then. Try not to check my phone as much as I can. but that's a good hour and a half I have to myself every single day almost, that I can just zone out of kind of everything and just train and do what I love. And that's my kind of my meditation for the day. And it's a very different period of my day than the rest of my day. The rest of my day, I'm always on my phone, or I'm doing something, or I'm trading, or my training. I'm very much like, my training. I'm very much like I'm in the gym. This is my point to focus. I've got stuff to concentrate on, so other things don't really get a look in. One of the tweaks I made literally this weekend. So I had a positive week last week, a good week, but I left a lot of profit on the table, and I closed a lot of trades early because I'm trading a higher value account. So one of the things that I've noticed I'm not very good at is I have multiple accounts, some with very high capital, some with very low capital. And historically, I've always traded my 10K account. And I copy trade across to my 15, my 100, and my other bits and bobs. And this week, I have a new account with a new company that I'm using, and I wanted to just test out their broker platform. I know that a lot of people move into things like Match Trade and Trade Locker, so I wanted to have a go with it. So long story short, I'm trading a 50K account compared to when I'm normally trading a 10K account. So for me, 2% on a 10K account was $200. So when I see $200, I get really excited, right? Closed the trade, made 2%, amazing. Now, 1% trades are $500. And I noticed last week that I was closing trades a lot quicker because I was seeing $500 and I was getting like excited and nervous. I was like, oh my God. And I only realized, tweaked over the weekend, I only realized that actually because I was thinking, you know what? My head's going, this is this is a 5% trade you've got running. That's why my head was going, you need to close this, you need to close this. I closed a lot of trades last week that I should have held, and I know why it is. It's because the values are different. So
of course, that's perfectly normal,
yeah. So what I did this weekend is I was trading Bitcoin, as I explained at the start of the call. I just didn't look at my broker panel once. I took the trade, set the trade, and I banned myself from looking at Trade Locker. That's all I did. I banned myself from looking at Trade Locker. I watched it on TradingView, and I went back and checked it multiple times, but I had no clue what value the trade was at. So it didn't affect my decision making. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And then I woke up this morning, all 4 trades hit profit.
It's a simple hack, isn't it? Just not looking at the P&L.
So
that's it.
So simple.
The candlesticks are enough emotion, man, than the P&L. I get more emotional looking at a candlestick than I do seeing a few figures or whatever.
That's it. Yeah. So look, guys, hopefully that's given you, a lot to think about, a lot to reflect on for the new year. We'll probably have a deeper, bigger chat next week about kind of winding down for the new year, how you should be trading in the next couple of weeks. We'll be keeping the live streams going as per normal. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll have a new topic for you next week, probably a bit of a wind down, how you should trade Christmas week, something along the lines of that. And as always, any questions at all, just give us a shout on our Instagrams or through the CTI Discord. And yeah, hope you have a good week. Hope you have a good week, Diego. Good to see you, my dude.
Thank you. You too as well.
Cheers, guys. Take it easy.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. See ya.